Are you a badminton player that's never had a coach and kind of just figured it out along the way?
Or maybe you've had a coach, but still know you could be better.
Well, either way, it's likely you've developed some bad habits. We all have them, but after sitting down and analysing over 100 games across many levels, we found 10 bad habits that most badminton players have. And guess what? In this video, we're going to share these bad habits, and most importantly, how you can break them.
By the way, we're going to rank these in order of how many times we saw people doing them. Let's go.
First up at number 10 is hitting too many cross-court shots. Whether it's in singles or doubles, this is a bad habit that we see a lot.
Yeah, it's amazing when it works, but do it at the wrong time or just too much and you'll get yourself into trouble. So, how do you change this?
Well, most of the time you know pretty quickly when you shouldn't have played it cross, because it will expose big gaps for your opponents to hit into. So this one is kind of as simple as learning from those many situations.
But we do have one effective way to speed up this learning though, and this is to say to yourself and your partner if you're playing doubles that you're only going to play straight shots for an entire match. Doing this will make you realise how often a straight shot can be effective, and it will also help you get used to playing these straight shots and then what the likely reply will be afterwards.
Moving on to bad habit number 9. And this is rushing in between points. After studying 40 matches, the average time professionals take between points is 22 seconds, whereas, quite incredibly, amateur players only take an average of 7 seconds. But why is this a bad habit?
Well, it can limit your time to process the previous rally and reset for the next one, often leading to poor shot choices and easy mistakes. So, how can you slow it down? And what should you be thinking about in between each point?
Well, we're not saying to retie your shoelaces or take a drink between every point, but just taking a few seconds longer can help you focus on your tactics and regain composure. If you find you struggle to take a few seconds longer, then we'd recommend developing a routine.
Yeah, you see players doing exactly the same thing before a serve in tennis, before a penalty in football, diving, and so on. And you'll notice none of these are rushing it. They all have a slow, purposeful routine. This helps them focus on the moments ahead and also be able to repeat the action time and time again.
Yeah, and with the serve, it's the only time of the rally where you're in complete control, so you need to make the most of this.
Now, bad habit number 8 is not being aware. And we'll explain this by giving you 3 examples of what we often see people doing wrong.
1 is not being aware that your opponent is left-handed, so you play everything to their forehand.
2 is not being aware that your opponent can't move very well, so you hit all your shots straight to them.
And 3 is not being aware that your opponent never does a flick serve, so you still stand really far back. So, how do you prevent this bad habit and become more aware?
Well, one solution is to have a series of questions that you ask yourself before every match, and even during the match. This is something we do, and it doesn't have to be overcomplicated.
Yeah, for example, even if you've never seen your opponents play before, you can simply watch 5 seconds of them warming up and ask yourself the following questions. 1. Are they right or left-handed? 2. Do they look fast or slow? And then 3. What are you good at? And is there anything you need to remember to play well? This final question can remind you of 1 or 2 things that you know you do well, and also remind you of 1 or 2 bad habits to avoid. This might be to stop hitting everything cross, or maybe to stop rushing, or even one of the 7 remaining bad habits.
Now, bad habit number 7 is blaming everything but yourself. Blaming the lights, blaming the floor, the shuttles, your racket, strings, the fact you haven't eaten since lunch. You get the picture. Whilst it is of course annoying when these are bad, it's the same for everyone on court. And although using these as an excuse might internally justify your bad performance, it's not a good look, and it definitely won't help you improve in the long term.
So, how to get out of this bad habit? Well, firstly, you can try and do everything you can before the match to mitigate possible excuses, like getting a towel to wipe your feet on, getting your racket strung, or having some food.
One example of a player controlling the controllables is Carolina Marin, a top lady singles player who struggled with the drifty conditions due to air conditioning in tournaments in Asia. But rather than complaining, she installed fans in her training hall to replicate it.
Control the controllables. What a good piece of life advice.
So, moving on to bad habit number 6, which you can control, and this is having your legs too straight.
Yeah, we've seen so many situations where players have their legs too straight. The most common ones being when you've just played a defensive shot, when you've just hit a drop shot, and in doubles when your partner is serving in front of you. This makes you so much slower to the next shot, often causing you to lose the point. So if this is you, how do you get out of this bad habit?
Well, as with all of these bad habits, purposeful practice is essential, and this might take time to get it ingrained into your muscle memory, especially if you've had a particular bad habit for several years. So you can start by doing some routines, and we'll share 2 good ones in the next bad habit. And here you really need to focus on bending your legs.
Yeah, and the degree in which you need to bend your legs will vary from player to player, depending on factors such as your height, your technique, and the amount of explosive power you have. For example, some top doubles players return the serve with their legs quite straight, but they have very good technique and a lot of explosive power. If you want to improve your explosive power, by the way, check out our Badminton-Specific Weights Programmes on our website.
Now, bad habit number 5 is all about your non-racket leg. For beginners and some lower intermediate players, this is lunging on your non-racket leg. Doing this means your core is more likely to collapse, which not only makes it harder to be in control of your body and racket when playing the shot, but it also significantly impacts your recovery after the shot.
But for intermediate and advanced players, it's not using your non-racket leg enough, especially when moving laterally. And this is something we have to remind so many players of, including ourselves. Often, because you're doing the bigger movements with your racket leg, like lunges, you can forget to activate your non-racket leg. So again, you need to do some purposeful practice to eliminate these bad habits. And we've got 2 levels to this. First, you can start by getting a partner to throw shuttles down to around the service line and really practice using your non-racket leg to push off. Oh, and of course, also practice lunging with your racket leg.
Once you've got the hang of this, you can move on to level 2 and do pushdowns. This is where you hit controlled shots to your feeder, who plays down to either side of the court and occasionally at your body. This is also a great exercise for practicing keeping your centre of gravity low, especially when your opponent is about to hit their shot.
Yeah, pushdowns is an exercise we've done a lot over the years, and we also see many top singles and doubles players do this on a regular basis. Again, our weights programs will help you get conditioned to doing these movements, and so will a good warm-up.
Yeah, you probably knew this would be on here, so we're not going to spend long on it. A warm-up is of course a bit of a boring one, but if you want to start matches well, and also keep playing for a long time without injuries, it's pretty important.
And it's not just a bad habit not to do a warm-up, but as we've mentioned before on the channel, it's also a bad habit to do a warm-up like this. All you need to do is arrive 5 minutes earlier than usual and find a small space. We of course have a video on our channel taking you through a good badminton specific warm-up, and even if you do just a quarter of this, it's going to be better than going in cold.
What you can also do is exercises to practice things like having a low centre of gravity and using your non-racket leg more. This will then compound over time and eliminate these bad habits too.
Absolutely. Now, bad habit number 3 is being a middle migrator, and this concept is the same for both singles and doubles. Let us explain by giving you 3 of the most common scenarios.
So, scenario 1 is in singles, where we see a lot of people hit a good straight smash and migrate to the middle. But what you should do instead is move directly forwards, as the straight block to the net is the most likely reply.
Scenario 2 is for both singles and doubles, where after you play a good net shot, you shouldn't migrate back to the middle. You should stay closer to the net to be able to kill the likely net shot. And if your opponent does lift, you, or your partner if you're playing doubles, should still have enough time to move back to get this.
And scenario 3 is in doubles, where we see a lot of you hit a straight block or drive and move forwards, but you migrate to the middle, which means you're not covering the most likely reply, which is straight down the tramline. We've covered this point in a lot more detail in this video here, which we'll also link in the description below. And for more singles tactics, you'll just have to smash the subscribe button if you haven't already and turn your notification bell on.
They were 3 middle migrator scenarios, which you could hopefully now correct. But the best way to really change this habit is through awareness.
Yeah, and to improve your awareness of this bad habit, you can watch your matches back to see the movements you're making. And then you can also watch some professional matches back to see what they do too.
And before we get on to our top 2 bad habits, this one is a bonus for you. Not watching enough professional badminton. Now you might think, why is this a bad habit? Well, you can learn so much from the pros, whether it's how not to rush in between points and take longer than 7 seconds, or how they use their non-racket leg to help them move faster.
And after speaking with a lot of the best players in the world, we know they all watch a lot of badminton to learn and improve. So if you want to improve too, this can be a good way. But if you search for a particular match, or you're trying to watch one live and you can't find it, then you'll need the sponsor of today's video, Surfshark VPN.
A VPN is great, as with the simple click of a button, it changes your virtual location so that you can watch matches that might be geo-blocked in your country. And Surfshark VPN in particular is the fastest VPN on the market, which means that you can watch matches in good quality to actually see what's happening, and you don't have to wait for it to buffer.
Yeah, we use it literally all of the time, and one of our favourite benefits is that with one subscription you can have it on unlimited devices. So Greg can watch one match and I could be watching another one. We've also got into a very good habit of using it to both save money when booking flights and to keep our data safe on public Wi-Fi's when we're uploading our videos.
It works out as less than $3 a month, again, unlimited devices, and there's also a money-back guarantee if you're not completely satisfied. So if you're interested, go to surfshark.com/badminton insight or click the top link in the description below where you can get an extra 4 months of Surfshark at an unbeatable price.
Now, in it, bad habit number 2 is not moving your opponent. Whether that's a beginner hitting the majority of shots to the middle, an intermediate player lifting it short or not quite into the corners, or an advanced player hitting a drive rather than a soft shot. It's so important to hit the shuttle into space and manoeuvre your opponents.
Yeah, it's easier said than done though, especially when you're a little tense. And a lot of this is learned over time. But there are definitely some things that you can do to speed up this learning process.
Yeah, first is to again watch your matches back so that you can actually recognise when you're playing these wrong shots. It might be that you don't move your opponent enough on the return of serve, or all of your forehand lifts don't quite go into the corner and your opponent can therefore play their shot from a better position.
After this, you then need to practice in high intensity, high pressure situations where you can't get away with playing bad shots. If you play doubles, you might want to try some of the drills we mentioned in our recent video that we did with Olympic champions Zheng Siwei and Huan Yaochong. Or if you play singles, you might want to play conditioned games where say the front of the court is out, so you can really practice hitting with high quality to the back corners while still moving your opponent.
So, moving on to the biggest bad habit we've seen in players of all levels, and this is having the wrong grip or wrong racket position.
For beginners, and actually quite a lot of intermediate players, there's 2 bad habits impacting your game. One is not effectively changing between a forehand and backhand grip. This is a bad habit as it hugely limits your power and control.
Yeah, and the second thing is using a panhandle grip in your overhead shots. This limits your ability to rotate and therefore once again decreases your power and control.
And then for more advanced players, weighting with your racket too much to one side is limiting your ability to play certain shots. For example, weighting in a forehand grip when returning the serve. Better opponents will notice this and take advantage by either serving here and looking for the cross-court shot, or serving to your backhand and making it really difficult for you, especially if you can't easily change to a backhand grip.
As having the wrong grip is our most common bad habit, we'd highly recommend watching this video next where we go through how to change between the different grips in badminton. And lastly, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure you drop it a like, smash the subscribe button if you haven't already, and we'll hopefully see you on another video very soon. Bye!